So first things first, Annalise, how are you? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
That's
So before we get into the music that you're making, I'd like to go back to the beginning. Now, I read somewhere that the first song you wrote was when you were 11.
yeah,
Um,
that's great.
what was it like? And I believe it was about your grandmother passing away.
Yeah, that's
What
correct.
was it like getting thoughts onto paper and into a song for the first time?
I think that moment was really special for me just to see like my emotions turn into something actually like kind of beautiful. What I was going through was like hard at the time, like dealing with that for the first time in my life. So yeah, and that would just like began a journey for me that I had no idea what was kind of in store. It was just like a whole world opened up after that.
What made you write about it? Because I don't know if you did any sort of writing before that moment, but why did you feel the need to put it into song?
I think yeah, like I just didn't really, I felt like I was so young and I knew my family was going through a lot and like my mom, so I didn't really like to bring it up to them. Um, but what I was feeling at the time, I don't think I didn't understand myself. And it just came naturally through a song, which was pretty amazing too, because before my grandma passed away, she was the first person to show me the guitar in general. So I felt like that was like kind of like her gift to me before she, like once she left. And yeah, I can't really explain it all the way, but
And after writing that first song, then did you kind of know that this was the path that you wanted to go down? Did you kind of had that sense because you were still quite young?
yeah, I honestly I didn't think too much of it. And then my mom was like always like sneaking by my door to listen to me play. And one day she kind of just blew my spot up and she was like, "So what are those songs you're writing downstairs and singing about?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you were listening." And then yeah, from there she made me sing it to like I sang it to her, and then one day like my family came over and I sang it for everybody and they all started crying. So it was like a really big moment like in my family at least. And I was so nervous. I didn't really like to like I didn't want to share it. Um but from there I started to do like open mics and like performing at gigs, and my parents were really supportive. Like any place I could play, we were there. Like if it was a restaurant, if it was anything. So, and then just the feedback, like getting feedback from the people that were there, and they didn't even know me. Because at first I was like, oh, it's just my family, and they're just trying to be nice or something. But getting that feedback from strangers, I think, helped me boost my confidence. Like, wow, I might actually have something. Um, yeah, and I just
I've
kept going.
I've read somewhere that you kind of see yourself as an introvert. So were you nervous when kind of your music first started reaching other people?
Yeah, definitely. I was so nervous. I had stage fright and
Okay.
I didn't really like have the confidence to get on stage. I never saw myself as like I didn't like attention, so getting on the stage and being that center of attention was a lot for me. Um, but I think now it's kind of cool because that's the only place I'm still like that is in my like everyday personality, but there's something that like takes over me when I get on stage, and it's like now it's like I could bring people into my world rather than just being like a person in this huge world. I don't know.
Mhm. And now I listened to a song that you put out in, I think it was 2013, Heartless, which is kind of, I suppose, the beginnings of what you were about to do.
Yeah.
So how do you look back on that song? Because I can really hear kind of the potential in it in a way. How do you listen back to it?
Thank you. Um, I listen back and I definitely hear like potential in it too because I people are always like, oh, you should remake that song, and I'm kind of like over it because it's so from so long ago. But I do think like because my little sister is well she's now 13, so just knowing I was 13 at that time writing like what I was writing about, and channeling whatever I was going through kind of amazes me now and makes me feel like all right, I'm doing this for a reason. Like I need to like, it's a gift, and like I should share my talent and just embrace what like God has given me. And yeah, I definitely, that's one of my favorite songs. And I don't even know, I just think I gotta laugh because I'm like, what was I going through that was so painful
At
at the time?
13, yeah.
Yeah.
What I find interesting then, because I wrote a line down from it, and I know you were 13 and now you're a completely different person, but it kind of fits, I would say, to as this is just speculation, but your kind of attitude towards things is, and it broke me down, but I've learned to hold my ground. And then there is a sense of perseverance, and whenever I did research about you, there's a sense of
Yeah.
perseverance around you. So where does that come from?
I appreciate that you took like the time to even listen and that
Oh,
thorough. That's really dope. I don't know, something in me has always like told myself to keep pushing. And I feel like that's everything, especially in this career. Already in life, like you need to have determination and all that. But especially like in the music industry, you'll hear no so many times. So it's just about like always getting up and standing your ground, and kind of just like being firm that you know what you want or believe in. It could go for so many things, but I don't really know. I know like my mom probably is like subconsciously, that's what it stemmed from. Just her like always believing in me, and never really like, she never thought my dreams were too big. And I think if I had like maybe different parents that weren't so accepting of what I wanted to do with my life, maybe that would be different.
What is one thing within music or within finding your way in songwriting and in the industry that you had to overcome? One thing you can share, because I know you went to Berklee College of Music for a while as well.
Yeah.
What did you learn about the business, so to say? What have you learned about the business in the past years?
I think my like the most business I've learned actually was being hands-on in it and getting to experience like those meetings. You can't really be taught that. At Berklee, I had a great time, and it was more of like the connections I made, the people I met, and the atmosphere there. But like I think like my biggest learning curves have been actually being like nose deep in how ruthless it can be. So I've been in it since I was doing music since I was young, but I would say like 16 is where I really like, I was in meetings and trying to get pitched to labels and in studios with all these different people, and just learning how like, I don't know, you're just looked at as like another one, and people don't really actually care about you. And I think that's just made me like a stronger person, because like now it's like people's opinions or whatever their thoughts of me, they don't really bother me anymore. So
That's interesting, because earlier you mentioned that you, especially early on in your kind of live playing career as well, you were somewhat shy and perhaps lacked a sense of confidence. What gives you confidence these days?
I mean, I still like battle with that sometimes, to be honest. But it's more of like a self-doubt thing rather than other people. But I think, I don't know, I just feel like things always work out somehow. And I think having that proof is what keeps me going. Because it's like, oh, I've been here before. I've been in a low point and somehow I made it out, and things are even better than I imagined. So I kind of like go through that motion every couple of months. I don't know. I feel like a lot of artists go through that.
It is, yeah, it's probably part of the course as well. I mean, I've always felt, especially when with any form of art or artistic expression, you kind of put yourself out there for others to judge, and for you yourself to judge yourself. So that's always, I'm sure that always goes along with doubt a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
The reason why I brought up Heartless early on was, if you think about yourself as a songwriter now, how have you developed in your own eyes?
I think Heartless was so pure. and a raw emotion that I never thought about song structure or what I wanted to write about, or if it was good enough. It just came natural. And I miss that sometimes because now I kind of like overthink and overanalyze things. But my last project, 6 Weeks to Seven, was to me kind of beautiful in a way because a lot of those songs I made in like 30 minutes or like an hour. I just went into the studio and whatever came out first, I was like, you know what, we're sticking with this and we're not going to change anything. And it's okay if it's not perfect because it's just getting that vulnerability out that I think connects with people more sometimes than a perfect polished record or stuff like that. So I think my writing technique and has expanded obviously over the years with so much, but it's just different. Like now I can go in any room and either sing over a beat or play from my guitar. Before I could only I was only comfortable if I had my guitar. And then now I can like get on so many different genre of beats and my process is a lot faster. It used to take me like 3 days to write a song, and now I can write a song in 20 minutes if I really, really want to.
And this notion about, I find it interesting, this notion about perfectionism and then that it's sometimes more important to be real than to be absolutely perfect. But you are always connected to the writing process. That's very important to you. So is that because of this, that as long as you are connected to the writing process, as long as it starts with you, then a song feels real or is real?
I believe that's like the most important part. I know there's some artists that don't, which is to each his own. But I just think like if this is my artistry, it needs to like tell a story of my life. And I think the person needs to feel connected to you. And the best way is for it to be real experiences that you went through and like channeling your emotions, not somebody else's, which I've tried. I've never really put out songs that I've co-written on, but Deep Down was a co-write with Swag, if Swag did it, the producer, and I loved how it came out. So I had started on my guitar and I had like the idea of Deep Down, and then he helped me kind of construct it into a more defined message, which has been like helping me just grow as a songwriter too.
Sonically then, because you mentioned Swag and I think you've worked with him before, but how do you see your musical landscape, that the musical landscape that you operate in? What are you looking for in terms of kind of a vibe or a sound?
I think I'm still kind of struggling with defining my sound all the way. To me, it's like R&B soul alternate with like a little bit of alternativeness. To other people, it's not classic R&B. So I don't know, just like, I guess like my overall vibe, the way I dress, they would say it's like pop or more. To me, I never consider myself pop, but I guess it's not a bad thing to be like popular, I guess considered, but I don't think I'm like mainstream at all. But I do think I can fit in this like crossover world where it's like, I don't know, I love underground music, but obviously as being an artist, I want to break that. I want to break into the mainstream world eventually. Yeah, I just don't even think too much about it. I just like feel like it's just soulful because it's coming from me, and yeah.
No, but that's interesting because I read somewhere that I can't remember what it was exactly. Oh yeah, I want my debut album to be Grammy nominated. I read that somewhere that you said that. So can I assume that you're very ambitious?
Yeah, I have like no doubts or limits at least in my mind. I think that's important. Just because like manifesting, you gotta like kind of speak it to believe it. And,
what how this might be a dumb question, I don't know, but what would be your ideal kind of situation as an artist?
I'm not too sure what an ideal situation. I know like there's always compromises, but I think I would love to I'm putting out a project soon in the next couple months, which will be like another EP. And I would hope that that would help me like get more fan base, like a bigger fan base, and just reach more people. 6 Weeks of Seven kind of helped me like see that I was on the right path. And I had my first song hit like almost 3 million streams now. And it was organically, it was a domino effect. So every day I wake up and I'd just be like blown away that this song was kind of taking off, at least digitally. And yeah, I would like to put out that project, and then within like maybe the next year put out my first album, which is like would be like 12 songs. I might do like a 7-song project now and then put out like an elongated album, which I pray and hope that it will be Grammy nominated.
Fair enough. What I also find, the song that you mentioned, I think it was Bogus, right? That you were referring. So with that song, and you mentioned that a lot of those songs were written quite quickly. Did you kind of feel like, okay, this might be able to do well?
At the time, I think the best part of it was I didn't care. Like I was just like, you know what, I just want to get this music out and put it out. And like I had no expectation of it. And that was the best part, because once they started doing well, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Yeah, Bogus I wrote in like an hour. Okay. And yeah, just I don't know, came naturally.
Can you take me through that process? What happens in that hour? Just you don't have to go a minute by minute. But what kind of goes on in an hour like that?
Well, one day I was in the studio and I was at Engine Room in New York City, and this guy Sam Mandel came into the studio, and I had never met him, but I knew him like through a mutual friend, and he played this track, which was like a guitar loop, like that very like catchy guitar line. And I was like, what is this? Like, I need this. And then my producer, What's Good Kev, was there, and they reached out. So they ended up finalizing the track. And then one day he played it while I was there to record. And then, I don't know, I just like sit in the corner and I go on my phone and just writing my notes. And then in like 30 minutes, I was like, all right, I think I got it. And then just laid it down. And the first, like, I don't know, I like to do like one takes to get the emotion out. Some people like they do line by line. I kind of just go and do the whole song. And then that was it. I was like, all right, I think we got it.
Are you very conscious of what you're writing at that time, or is it only later after a couple of months and after hearing it so many times that you kind of figure out, oh, this is what I was talking about?
Yeah, I kind of think it's like a mix of both. At the time, like, I don't know, some people write with melody or some people write with lyrics. I love to write with lyrics first, so how the beat made me feel. I think I had the line like, you think like, I think it's bogus. And then that's how I just like made the rest of the words. And I don't even know if I still know what I'm talking. Like I do know, but like I just don't think too far into it. Like it's for interpretation. Yeah.
Fair enough. In terms of Deep Down there, what was the line that kind of grabbed you on that one? What was the kind of the initial thing that made that song?
The initial thing was like Deep Down. I just kept singing Deep Down over and over on my guitar, like over these chords. And I had some other words too. And then when I sat with Swag, we kind of like, he asked me more like, what does this sentence, I guess, mean to you? And how can we say it in a different way? So that's how we like structure the verses. And yeah, I think.
Without having to delve too much into your own life, but I always find this a very interesting psychological question. Amateur psychology. But why do you think people stay in relationships that are bad for them?
That's like a really hard question. I don't know. I mean, it's easier to see it from the outside in, like if it's your friend or somebody you know. But when you're in it, I just think it's like, it's kind of blinding. Like love can be blinding. And that's what the song was about, how I just felt like I was drowning in the deep end of like emotions, and I guess, of love, and not really knowing, because I feel like everybody's always in denial that they don't know if the person's meant for them or not, even though sometimes it's very clear. Yeah, I just
like you said, I think people sometimes have blinders on, and which is a good thing, or at least it's a sweet thing that people can find just the good in people, in other people.
Yeah, no, that is true.
With you mentioned that you're looking to release another sort of EP in a couple months, perhaps. What can you reveal, or what can you tell me about the direction and what your mentality was working on those songs?
I'm still creating the body of music right now. I have a couple of the songs, but honestly, I have no idea what's gonna make the project and what's not. Right now, I just want to make like a bulk of music. I had like a list of like a ton of references I've done that were just parts of songs, and then now I'm like redefining them, and I want to make this project a little bit more thought out, just to like really get it right all the way and make it the best it can be. So I want to take my time with the music process, and then I always love to like do the creative direction of the EP and the visuals. So I'm excited, but honestly, I have no idea what it's going to entail right now.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I have a final question then. We talked about ambition. As somebody who is from New York, is Madison Square Garden the dream then, or are there other places that are topping
Madison
the list?
Square. I would love to like sell out Madison Square in a couple of years. I also want to perform at the Super Bowl. That's like on the top of my list.